if your dad is still alive, then there's still a father that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And the ache that most men our age live with 70, 80-ish, even 90-year-old dads, right? He's still my dad. And there's a part of me that feels very young when I'm with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that same part wants to have some of these conversations that matter.
Yeah. I think at some point along our journey here, it's important for us to remember to talk about fathering your dad.
A very significant reality.
Because we've seen it very, very frequently over the years that we've been doing this, inviting men into this journey. The son will come and work towards getting his heart back, and then pursue his dad and try to influence and in many ways father his father.
With God, there is always more. More love, more life, more freedom. Welcome to Zoe's Exploring More with Michael Thompson. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Our Heavenly Father has provided many delightful inns for us along our journey, but He takes great care to see that we do not mistake any of them for home." Join me and the team as we explore the kingdom together, discovering the deep truths and offering encouragement for the journey. There is always more.
Welcome, friends and allies, to the Exploring More podcast. Michael Thompson here with SJ Jennings, and we are here exploring the kingdom in 2026. We've had a lot of fun doing the Faves series on films. Had some interesting comments fly in.
Yeah, reactions,
responses. But Tombstone, Lord of the Rings, and The Notebook. So,
can you believe it's 2026? Just on a squirrel. But I mean, I remember being younger and being like, man, when it's 2025, I'm going to be so old. Like,
no, really? Yeah.
And here we are.
How'd
that happen?
Speaking of, I think I am amazed at how quickly I feel behind in a new year. Like, what have I been doing?
Right.
Other than what feels like, 3.5 weeks of
tyranny of the urgent,
of second gear, of vacation, family, holidays,
it's funny,
all that stuff. But as we've come back to the tower,
right?
Like, not only is my attitude like, what have I been doing? Like, what have you guys been doing? We got crap to do, man. Let's go.
Yeah, we got widgets to make.
Yeah, get in the bus.
So, get on the production floor.
Bus has been parked at the beach.
But what's funny is, it felt like, in some respects, we had time off for, it felt like a long time, because when Christmas falls in the middle of the week,
right, you get the extra days on the front and the back.
Depending, I mean, I think we worked right up to the Wednesday. I did right up to Christmas Eve. The
22nd or 3rd.
22nd or 3rd. We had some meetings and stuff, but then on the other side of it, though, it's like, what have I been doing for the last month? But we had an event the week before Christmas. Like,
I
mean, we
in
were
Ohio.
Rolling, man.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway,
and the end of year,
I just can't.
All that,
it's amazing to me
all
that it's
all
2026.
the world of kind of nonprofits and finances and giving and end of year stuff and all that. I mean, we had a lot going on.
So just back to the faves. Yeah, it was fun, and we got a couple more, kind of ideas in the tank. We've had some listener submitted requests for us to, when we revisit, if we do that again, and I think we will. One of our friends, Sean, recommended The Last of the Mohicans, and bro, we could probably do a 3-part series on that.
Talk about a gospel according to the Last of the Mohicans.
Real.
Yeah,
what a movie!
Super good. Yeah.
So we've gotten some requests like that.
So that was awesome, fun, and now real excited about this series. It's gonna coincide with something that we've done last year. We had two semesters of an online gathering.
Yeah,
the
West,
online class,
the
West,
if you will.
Right at 6:45 Pacific.
Yep.
Right, 9:45 Eastern, and the East. Wednesday and Thursday mornings, we went through King Me, and then went through Heart of a Warrior, and that was a blast. And so, and 150 guys between the two groups, which is awesome. Guys finding us and getting
some
connected.
Old friends, some new
I know,
friends.
yeah, the facilitators, all
veterans,
of it.
verse timers.
Yeah.
It was great.
So this series that we're stepping into, SJ, for our Exploring More podcast listeners and audience, I just want to encourage you. There's another way to engage with us, and it is the West and East circles.
Yeah.
In a weekly progression, and you can engage with other guys. That's what's awesome is we do a little bit of talking and sharing and guiding and teaching for 20 or so minutes, and then we break out into smaller groups.
That's right.
To go through what we're going through
Yeah.
on the Exploring More podcast. So there's a connection. And if you don't want to do that, then just stay with us on Exploring More podcast. You'll get
But
some
if you
of
want to join the groups, I think when this episode drops, you can still get in. So zoe.org/events. Maybe Andy can put it in the description below.
Yeah.
If you want to join the Zoom group, go to that, and you just got to sign up. It's free.
Yep.
And join us. It'll be great.
You'll see more of the details at Andy's prompt. But so the unveil before we take the break is this is a series that we're calling Father Matters. And I think we're going to cover some overview and some intro and touch on session 1 of the West and East series that they're going to be venturing on.
Yep.
And then we'll subsequently kind of hit the second episode for the following week of this drop will be chapter 2 or mile marker 2 in Father Matters.
Day 2.
Yeah, day 2.
Yeah, so when we come back, let's talk about the origination of the devotional and why it's important and why it matters.
Sounds good. All right, we'll be right back on the Exploring More podcast.
Yeah, so possibly one of the most profound moments of my life, really. It was up at one of the old Top Gun events in the mountains up in Virginia, and I remember just really struggling, sitting up literally on top of the mountain. I hiked up there that day, looking out over the camp, and it's beautiful, and feeling like I was in the presence of so many men that had such a connection with God. That what's wrong with me? Why doesn't God ever talk to me? Like all these guys are talking about this great experience. And so I spent some time reflecting on that. And as I was walking back down the mountain, all that was in my head was, God, I need to hear you. I need to hear your voice. I need to hear, some semblance of life from you. And as I'm walking, I literally start hearing this running water in the middle of coming down a mountain. I mean, there's not really anything around but brush. It's a mess, and my legs are getting all torn up by the brambles. And I hear this running water, and so I'm thinking, God, this is crazy. And I start to walk over towards it, towards the sound, and find this running creek of just amazing, beautiful spring water. A nice mountain spring that shouldn't have been there. And in my head, I was thinking about God and the sort of the analogy of the river of life and all these things. And then there's this water in the stream, and all of this is happening at once, but I'm thinking to myself, just like show me some kind of light, Lord, show me a light. I'm almost the movie, what's the movie with Bruce Almighty where, show me a sign, and he keeps going by the billboards every time, and he never, just show me a sign, and the signs are all over like falling off of trucks. It was that silly almost that I in my head phrased the words, I just need a light or something from you. And I look down in the stream, there's literally a yellow flashlight sitting in the bottom of the stream. I'm not making this up. And I was just, and so in my head, I'm just questioning, this is so stupid. There's no way this is actually happening. And I sort of made this condition with myself. If I pick up that flashlight, it works. This is real. Dude, I swear, I picked up that flashlight, flipped it. It was a pelican light covered in moss. It shone a light as clear as could be. And it was just amazing. And I kind of heard, felt, experienced, just, I hear you. I see you, and I've got something for you. It was just amazing, and I've been off ever since. Like, you can't come back from that. It was pretty wonderful and pretty powerful.
Welcome back to the Exploring More podcast. And
So where'd this come from? Right?
Yep.
It's an 8-day devotional that God put on your heart. So let's just take a couple minutes and talk about that. Like where did this come from?
So in the book King Me, there's a chapter called Heirs to the Throne. And it's in the section of the book that's after you've explored your journey, your story, healing and training, and, all of that is so that you can take up your role, take up your part in the story. Mm-hmm. And we all have different roles, but this one of you're a husband, maybe you're not now, but maybe you had children, so you may not be married even to the mother of your children, but you still have these children, mm-hmm. right? Or in another sense, you're married and have these kids. And so there was a chapter in the book about heirs to the throne, which had a lot to do with the reality of a legacy. You will leave one. And so and then there's some practical things in that chapter. So as we've talked with other men and as we had revisited King Me last year, it's just one of those chapters that strikes a chord in the hearts of men, I think, because their role as fathers is so important. And we know it. Mm-hmm. We know it. We feel mm-hmm. it. And so exploring it feels helpful, encouraging. And then there's always the enemy's voice that wants to be very indicting. I mean, we have not done this perfectly. And for some of us, we haven't done it really well.
Right. And
so what does that even look like? And how can I recover ground that I've lost? So all of that's kind of in that chapter. And so, SJ, you have to go through 13 other chapters to get to that. And I felt like it could be helpful to pull that out.
Yeah.
What does it look like on its own, just as fathering and our desire to father well? What does it look like just to pull that out? So the essence comes from that chapter, but the structure just comes from, looking at sections of that chapter and kind of giving them their own space and room to breathe and creating them in a way that could be more of a discussion and a conversation amongst dads about the direction we want to go as dads.
Yeah. The truth of the matter is, whether we're a father or not, we have a father, right? Whether they are present in our lives, not present in our lives, and we all have a heavenly Father, mm-hmm. right? And so, what a great idea to pull out that chapter. Even, I know why you have it where you have it in the book.
Yeah.
Right. So, if you want to talk a little bit about that, like, why is it not right at the beginning where we talk about the importance of our relationship with a heavenly Father and all of that? I mean, it's not that you don't talk about that, but you don't talk about it in the context of our children until later. And so why is that?
Yeah. And it's after the chapter on the Queen
mm-hmm.
in King Me, where, we don't talk about marriage and women and the relationship that God created for us with them. We don't talk about that till later. So,
mm-hmm.
and the answer is the same for both of those chapters, that for you to be more for them, you've got to go back with God and recover some things that have been lost or stolen or assaulted
or surrendered
or hurt. Yeah. Or taken how your journey as a man has gone up until this point. I mean, I am wonderfully back involved in some marriages in the new year and finishing up 2025 and man, it is amazing what they discover when they start to go back in their stories as a husband and wife and realize there's a young me that walked down this aisle.
Mm-hmm.
And there's things that came down the aisle that we ask this at all our conferences. What are the odds you've interpreted your life accurately? Right. Well, what are the odds you've interpreted your spouse's wife accurately?
Yeah.
What are the odds you're interpreting your kids'
If
lives
it's zero
accurately?
for you, what are you?
Are you going to bat 1,000?
It's a
with,
negative number probably
right.
for
Is it going to be
somebody else.
better? How much better is it going to be when it's your spouse or your kids? And so,
I would add, we are all, like Madeline L'Engle said, we are all the ages we've ever been.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So 17-year-old SJ is still in there somewhere.
Yeah. And 10-year-old Michael shows up with, I'm not going to say my wife's age, with my wife on a given day. And here's a little guy who feels what he feels.
Provoked
feels
in some
either
way.
Intimidated or feels angry at a way that she might be doing, is the laundry or
whatever it might
chewing
be.
her food.
Yeah.
And so these things matter. And to your, it's a great question. And to your point, to get to the roles that we're meant to have as men, well, we've got to go back. And are we coming to those roles healthy, wholehearted, good, or are we coming to those roles compromised? Carrying with us the messages of wounding from our own fathers.
Yeah, we very, very...
From our own mothers.
No question. We very, very frequently, when we think of a role, and in this case we're talking about fatherhood, we think about the responsibilities associated with that. But very infrequently, I know in my own story, I gave no thought to where my interpretation of how I should fulfill that role came from.
Yeah, which
fill
in the blank.
I got a kid now. Here's what I got to do.
And to think that you're going to father that kid in some way different than how you were fathered. I'm not sure that's a safe bet.
Well, okay, so. And man, we can go into this. I don't want to go too deep because for time's sake, but you hear it all the time. I'm never going to do to my kids what that SOB did to me.
Yeah, if you were,
and yet what happens so many times is it happens.
Amazing.
My dad beat me, and I'm never going to do that to my kids. And yet you end up an abuser.
Being physically abused, yeah.
And so it's what is at the core, and that's an extreme example, but what's at the core of where we get our understanding of how to father and even what a father is.
From our Father.
Right.
There is an inheritance of fathering that comes from your own experience. And to be able to say I'll never be like that. And that's probably the one that could be expressed more outwardly, verbally, and emotionally because that it didn't go well.
Right, it's an extreme example.
And yet, we both are of the persuasion that, holy cow, man, you have this kid, and they may make you take him home.
Yeah.
They tell you, and you can read,
and they don't knock on the door in a month and say, "Do you need a break?"
And you think you can read some books,
right.
and that somehow you're going to just kind of fall in line with this practice of what we're going to explore in Father Matters, of being present, being kind, being having the right words, paying attention. And yet if there isn't intervention, I'm going to give it a number, 85% of our fathering is going to look like how we were fathered. And even if you don't want to, even if you'll never be like him, you will bring many things into your marriage and how you saw a marriage work, and in your fathering, how you saw fatherhood work with you.
Yeah, so just to respond to that, I want to offer, that this is not a condemnation saying like, well, okay, if you think of fathering, as you add in all these ingredients and you try to filter out the ingredients that you really don't want in your cake, but
Right.
you really, our point is you really can't get them all. Some of that stuff's going to get in there.
Yeah.
And even if you don't want it to, it's going to happen,
Yeah.
right? That's why we've said before, and you've said it in King Me and Heart of a Warrior, both, you're going to wound your children. No matter how good of a person, no matter how oriented you might be, the unfortunate story is that most men long for and seek what we refer to as orientation, knowing who you are, where you are, the good God's up to in your life, later in life, after their children are born or grown up or gone. And so the result is that the vast majority of us are going to wound our kids. And it's because there's some of this unresolved stuff. We didn't know that we were going to receive some of this inheritance or legacy, going back to how you started. We were going to leave a legacy. Well, our parents left us a legacy too. Our dads, we're trying to figure out, okay, I'm a father now. How do I dad my kids? How do I father my kids? And it's this, bowl of ingredients. Well, there's stuff getting tossed in there from 30 years ago, dude. And it's not good. It's sour. It's stuff you wouldn't put in there if you were in control, as if you were in control
of what's in,
of the ingredients that end up in that cake. So this is not meant to be condemning. It's meant to help people understand, ourselves too, we're on this journey, better understand the stuff that's got chucked in there that's not what we want. And how do we parse it out? How do we go back and separate it back out again?
Yeah. And at 40 and 50 and 60, if your dad is still alive, you're still a son.
Yep.
And lastly, I would say about this, the father matters. There's an enemy who knows father matters.
Oh yeah.
Who knows the significance of how this could go, and wants it to go badly. Mm-hmm. So I was talking with somebody
like he did with Jesus.
Yeah,
right.
And so I was talking with somebody.
His plan. He's trying to muck up the works.
I was talking with somebody.
Muck. M-U-C-K.
Muck. That's a good word. Muck.
Yeah.
Muck it up. I was talking with somebody last week, and we were just. I just hypothetically threw out, like, well, how do you think your son might react to this?
To him entering into an exploration of fatherhood?
And it was a situation where, the son is not. He's embarrassed. He's ashamed, and the dad's talking to me about that. I said, well, what are you going to do? How do you think this is going to play out? Mm-hmm. Have you talked to him?
Yeah.
And no.
Was the answer?
No, he hasn't explored any of it.
Wow.
With other than
been there, done
other
that.
than knowing that it's an ordeal, knowing that it was eventful, acknowledging that it wasn't good, but then again, to engage in that young one's hearts so that they can interpret more accurately and know that you're with them in it. I think that's just to take steps further as to how a father matters, and why a father matters, and why do this series. What if we could be? What if we could have been better equipped?
Oh man.
And what have we learned that we want to pass along in this space that is, that if your dad is still alive, then there's still a father that matters, and the ache that most men our age live with 70, 80-ish, even 90-year-old dads, right? He's still my dad. And there's a part of me that feels very young when I'm with him. Mm-hmm. and that same part wants to have some of these conversations that matter.
Yeah. I think at some point along our journey here, it's important for us to remember to talk about fathering your dad.
A very significant reality.
Because we've seen it very, very frequently over the years that we've been doing this, inviting men into this journey. The son will come and work towards getting his heart back, and then pursue his dad and try to influence and in many ways father his father into healing and wholeness.
Inviting his dad to be his dad in a different way, with orientation.
Yeah. What if your dad could be invited? One of the things you said a minute ago just gave me this visual. If you see your father as sitting on a seat of judgment like a judge would in a courtroom, what if your dad could come down off the judge's seat and be an advocate with and for you? Mm-hmm. And you could see him that way.
Or if your dad has been absent, so he's not coming off of that chair, and then he's coming
through the doors in the back of the room.
Yeah, I think of Aragorn when he opens those doors.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
There's this grand entrance of, hold the proceedings. Mm-hmm. Don't say another word, buddy. You okay?
Yeah,
I'm right here. I'm with you. Mm-hmm. I mean, so there's a lot of different ways in which, as we come under, and I love that you use the courtroom example. I'm going to just stay with the metaphor a minute. That we come under accusations and judgments of inadequacies, ill training, the things that we said we'd never do, and we've done to our younger kids, when our children when they were younger. So
shame, accusation, judgment.
Yeah.
I mean,
and this makes sense. We were talking about this off camera. I just want to go back to and make sure we get an exclamation point on this, because you were talking about it pre-show about the inherent reality of a father and fathering, and how take us back to that moment about that the first impressions a boy has of what a dad is his dad.
Yeah, and that will translate to, as we continue to grow, we'll take whatever that impression is to our Heavenly Father and put it upon
project
him.
It.
Absolutely.
We'll project some, if not all of that.
Yep. And again, that's not like, hey, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But that's just the reality of it. It's the way it works in this kind of in-between space.
Yeah.
Where we're separated from our Heavenly Father. And so we need to fill in that vacuum somehow. And so that's how we do it.
And the experience you have when you're young is going to be projected on lots of things.
Sure.
And in lots of directions. So if you were punished in certain ways that created fear and pain, then hell's going to be pretty real, and judgment's going to feel like that's what God's like.
That's right.
And so you can get I think you can get a kid, especially when they're young, to comply, because you're bigger, scarier, and the force and the strength that you're bringing and the talking through your teeth. Of course, that intimidation.
Because I said so. That's why.
That intimidation is probably going to get your kid to stop doing something. But to think that's going to...
It's going to get him to stop doing whatever it was, right? Drawn on with crayon on the wall, whatever it is. It's going to get him to stop being close to you, too.
Yeah.
It's going to stop intimacy. It's going to stop safety. Mm-hmm. It's going to stop closeness. It's going to stop, hey, I can go to my dad for anything.
I can trust him.
I can trust him.
All of that. Yeah, man. So Father matters. So Father matters. And I think this is just a wonderful kind of beginning. And I hope that we're not walking men, us included, into some war zone, though there's a part of it like that. What I want to do is kind of walk them through a landscape, through some gardens, and through a vantage point that says this is a beautiful thing, and you can do this. You can do this, and it's important. So I do want to jump into kind of the first session of the Father Matters series in the West and East circles. Mm-hmm. It has to do with You're a Son. It's entitled You're a Son Before You're a Father. Mm-hmm. What does that title feel like to you? You're a son before you're a father.
Yeah. So interestingly, I'm trying to think of, if I was hearing some of this stuff for the first time, how would that land on me versus how that lands on me today?
Yeah.
So if I was hearing some of this for the first time, I think where my heart and my mind goes is to, I don't have time for that. I'm a dad. I'm a father. I've got work. I've got responsibilities. I've got things to take care of. I got shiz to do. And the burden of that does not afford me the luxury of even thinking about my own story. And that grieves me even to say. And because I also remember being in that space of knowing internally something's not right, but feeling the weight and the burden of my list, whatever that means, to whomever it means, does not afford me the opportunity to really dig into discovering what it is that's not right. And so, I know I shouldn't intimidate my son, or not meet him where he is at 6 and 7 years old. But I don't have anything else available to me, and I got to take care of this problem so I can take care of the next one. And some of that's tied to my own story. And how I was my heart was handled as a little guy. But
it sounds like how you experienced.
Yeah, my dad wasn't necessarily intimidating, although he did take the belt out a few times, but it was more like he didn't have time for me.
Yeah, I've heard you say it. We didn't have time to talk about how I feel. We got stuff to do. That was your commentary about the family you grew up in, and you're just proving the big point of, even if you could have said, I guarantee it's not gonna be like that for my little guy. It was a way that it's really not a good word. Okay, that's why I want to use it. Okay, I'm going to use it. It's a way you were groomed.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
No.
So how do we break some of these cycles?
Sure.
And how do we explore some of these places where maybe we didn't get what we should have, and what we did get, let's say, in fairness, we shouldn't have. And so how do we create a different trajectory, even if our kids are older?
Yeah, and I just got to jump into and just say this because it's not leaving me, and hopefully it's not too heretical, but I would say too, I became a Christian when I was 35 years old, and for the first probably 10 years that I was a Christian, it didn't help.
Yeah.
I could not translate. It was not available to me. The ability to translate the grace that I received from accepting Jesus as my Lord and Savior to my fathering. I could not do it.
That's fascinating.
Even though I was on fire, loved the Lord, especially those first few years, a Labrador, I would like, jump on you and lick your face about Jesus. Gross.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. And if you ask my son, he would tell you that's true. He saw it because I was on staff at a church and all of that. It did not translate to my relationship with him until much further on in my own journey of healing.
Yeah, and we started that I'm a son first of God.
Right.
And what does that mean and look like? And so how I'm being fathered by God is that going to impact how I father? And if we start this conversation with yes, especially if that's what you're hopeful for and looking for and want, then we feel like you got a better chance of even seeing that and applying that and going to God for some alterations that are required.
Yeah. So what's the disconnect is what we're saying, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If that's true, if maybe I'm not the only one that became a Christian or grew up a Christian, and somehow there was a disconnect between your understanding of your personal relationship as a person with the Heavenly Father and how that translates into your parenting and how you father your children. If there's a disconnect there, then I think what we are trying to offer is, well, I'm glad you see that there's a disconnect, A. Yeah. And B, maybe there's a chance of getting a reconnection going again through some of this discussion.
Oh, yeah. Amen. That's why we're doing
because absolutely. And it's been our experience. I think if we ask that question that way, I know it's true in your story too. Well, there was something in the way of
100%. And
that translation.
And in pure non-contrast to your to you coming to Christ later, I came to Christ in an incubator.
Right.
I came to Christ in the nursery.
And 200 more times.
And 200 more times.
Before you were 10 years old.
I grew up in that space, and it did not spare me.
Right.
It did not keep that disconnect and that distance
from happening.
Mm-hmm. And so, I've said it many times. You've heard me from the stage. I mean, you go to Disney or Disney World, this magical place. I mean, it is one of the most wounding places on earth. Yeah. All you have to do is walk around the streets and you'll see one over there grabbing his daughter. You'll see one over there,
the grit teeth.
Telling his son the deal. The red. I mean,
hold on to that balloon.
But it comes to me, the second one of the next significant wounding environments is a church. I mean, everything that takes place to getting kids in the car and fed and dressed and ready and to church, and then they're touching each other in the back seat and they're, going out to eat. There's these places, environments that we actually see this stuff play out, and it's not great. It's hard when you actually are watching a dad do this badly, and it brings some level of conviction. As well.
Yeah, but it's less about judgment and more like, oh man, I've been there.
And even to the impulse to go intervene and say, hey, bro, and I think you'll see there's videos of that stuff, reels of that stuff on Instagram and YouTube of some of the interventions that need to happen so that this little one is not being hurt or intimidated or worse by this big person that they call dad. And this there's applications for this with mom as well. But anyway, so all of that is stuff that we're exploring because, man, what kind of team could we be as dads, right? In this story, in this day, with more and more and more equipment and training, direction, help, encouragement. And that's why this is the West and East Circle that we're going to mile marker. And that's why we're talking about it on the Exploring More podcast, because what if? That's my motivation is what if this helps a dad connect with his son and daughter, whether they're
Reclaim
3,
some ground.
13, or 33.
Right.
What does it look like for him to move away from behavior and control to being a man who is really interested in why they feel and why they think the way they do, and even about them as a dad?
Yeah. And what if we could, rather than living like we have and others around us, in a space of, I want to try to reclaim ground that's been lost.
Yeah.
What if we could not lose it in the first place?
That
More and more often.
preventative is so much better than than putting out the fires.
Yeah, man.
But you know, if you're going to be in this story with sons and daughters, you need to know both. When it hits the fan, when the crisis happens, and I do think this is one of the things we have that I'm not sure men realize the advantage that this actually affords them. And that advantage would be, is your dad. You're the dad. I mean, even kids who grow up who find out that they're adopted, right? They, sooner or later, the curiosity, I want to find him. I want to find her.
Yeah.
I want to find them. And so there is a bit of a stacking in your favor, if you will, and if you will allow it. They're going to call.
Right.
Life is going to happen. They get hit or they hit someone in their vehicle. You know, can they call you? Are they going to call you? They get fired. Things go badly. They don't have any money.
Yeah.
I mean, these are very eventful
do
life.
Do you want to be the one they call first? And I think.
And even if they don't want to. The prodigal son in the story comes to that realization. My dad's servants live better than I am living.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll take me back and let me be one of those.
Right.
So he makes the journey back.
Yeah.
So
it's exciting, man.
There's a real possibility. I just want to wrap up with, and Andy maybe can follow us on the lower thirds. But so let me just read the script of where we're going in these sessions real quick.
Yeah. So this is an 8-day devotional that we were led to create, right?
Yep. We'll publish it someday on our new version.
I think, we're working on getting it so that, our listeners can have access to it. And maybe by the time this episode drops, we'll have that link in the description. But yeah, it's an actual printed devotional that we're doing this podcast series around, and we're also doing the Zoom groups, like you said.
The West and East
circles. So these are the days.
Yeah.
The titles
or
of
the
each
weeks
day, or the weeks,
that we're going to cover in our podcast series and in the West and East Circle.
So run through it, man.
First, you are a son before you are a father. And the subtitle is being fathered by God as the starting place.
Yeah.
Right? As you father, you're still a son. The Heavenly Father wants the job. Second week, the Father who is present. What does it look like to be present? Presence versus performance. Distraction or distance. Presence versus performance, distraction or distance. Third week, speaking blessing and identity, right? The power of your words. I love that one. That's naming and calling out who your children is, who your child is, who your children are and are
who
becoming.
They're becoming.
Yeah. To speak to that, to speak blessing and identity. Love that. Fourth, initiation, not management. And this is the one I think that helps men be engaging and preemptive and to think about. We've said this before. You're a great gift giver. Looking at something on the calendar and activating something within me to prepare for that. Right? I just heard a story about a guy and his mom and dad divorced. He was doing the alternate trips and being shared, and he told me this. It was sad. His dad didn't do a Christmas tree, didn't do anything around Christmas, and kind of handed him an envelope.
Wow.
It sounds like a layup. And again, before I accuse the dad, I don't know what his dad's story was and what he was able or not able to do.
Somewhere.
Oh, there's a ton of backstory there that I don't know. I just know the tears in his eyes, the effect that still has on him to tell that story. And so what is it, right? Initiation and to take advantage of opportunities to do that, validate and initiate, leading our children into strength, right? In a safe way, right? Not just safe, but into strength, into risk. All right, number 5, repairing what was missed or broken. Huge.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't get any experience really with that I know of. Just, I'd have to think. That one just strikes me as one that, yeah,
it's a great opportunity.
We didn't talk a lot about why I felt the way I did or why I acted the way I did. What's going on? I don't remember getting that kind of attention. I remember having keys taken away. I remember being sent.
Oh, it's mostly punitive.
Rhetorical, like what do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah.
that wasn't an invitation to a conversation.
Yeah. I suck.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Keep your head down and wait till you get out of there.
And even now, repairing what was missed or broken, I think about all the opportunities that I had to view different moments as initiation with my own son, and I missed them. So then what does it mean to revisit some of them? What does it mean to
talk about beautiful courage? Yeah. Talk about beautiful courage and initiative.
Right.
That's the beauty, is even if you've missed them and you're aware, they may not remember, but if you do, it might be something to talk about. All right. 6. Boundaries that create safety. Right. We talked about that a little bit, about being able to be the one they call, being able to be the one that they need, and that they possibly could even trust. That's a huge one. Strength with tenderness, authority, and without fear. That's the boundaries that create safety. Strength with tenderness and authority without fear. All right, number 7, letting go without abandoning.
This is very rarely talked about. I don't know, other than, really you could think of it this way, Heart of a Warrior and King Me, talking about the opportunity to parent your adult children. There's plenty of books out there, about how to parent your toddler and
teens,
this and that and the other thing, teenagers. But once they're adults, you're kind of out of resources.
Yeah.
And I love so much about when Stephen was little. It was fun. I remember chucking him around, wrestling with him. It's kind of in many ways, right?
Yeah.
But the beauty of fathering adult children is the opportunity to do some of the things that are listed above: initiating him as he got married, repairing what comes up as I go on my own journey of healing, and he does too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much in that. It's going to be great. And releasing outcomes is really, really important. Your job is not to live their life for them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to be great, man.
But at that, yes. And the practicality of some of these, I get so excited about, to say to a man who's 50 or 60 or 70, who's listening or who's on the West and East journey, and say, look, what are the 3 or 4 things that your son or your daughter are really invested in right now? Ask them.
If you don't know.
If you do know, ask them about those things.
About them, right.
Right? Hey, how's Zoe? Tell me some of the exciting things that are happening at Zoe.
What is it that you love about what you're doing now?
Yeah. Anything going on with the team?
Right.
Anything that is challenging? What's the biggest challenge going on with Zoe right now? I mean, this is where I live. This is what I do.
That's right.
Okay, and then you could just go down the list as a father or a mother. Mine. Tell me something fun about Ashley recently.
Yeah.
Tell me something cool that Hannah's doing. How's Abby? How's Anders? If that's those are just soft tosses, but
They are, man.
But they don't happen often in this adult, as you said.
Yeah.
Having adult children. So,
Number
letting go of
7,
that.
number 8.
Legacy. Fathers who create sons and daughters who know God, who know them as their father, and because they know you, they have an opportunity to know God. What is God like? As you, an image bearer, as a son who is a father, is now walking with God in front of them.
Yeah.
What are they seeing?
Right.
And would that way that you're living, would it invite them to live like that? And I'm not just talking about accepting Christ, or my son or daughter's a Christian or not a Christian, or I think there's something weightier to all of that. That could be a result that you're after. But what is it attractive in you?
Yeah.
Is it attractive from you?
Yeah, I go back to the map.
Yeah.
Kingdom of light. How does the kingdom of light operate? Wooing and pursuing.
Yeah. Amen.
I mean, how are we doing that as dads?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to this journey. I think it's going to be very, very helpful. I think of so many ways that this could be applied in our journeys as men, and so yeah, it's going to be great.
Here's the one I want to close with in this kind of intro and first session of Father Matters is, and this is at the end of the devotional, very last kind of questions, and I just want to bring up this thing, SJ, so that it can be on the table as we go. Your kids, your son, my daughter's son, our children are asking the same question that we asked and still ask. There's a core question that the human image-bearing heart is asking. Our souls are longing to hear the answers to. And the questions are this: do you see me? Do you love what you see? And do you want to be with me? So the homework would be, how were those 3 questions answered for you growing up? How are they being answered now as you walk with God? And then thirdly is, how are those questions being answered for your sons, for your daughters, for your children?
Right.
For your relationship with them. Those are the questions that need to stay in front of a dad. And if they're not answered well in your own story, it's hard to answer them well in their story. And so the connection that you brought up early, you talked about the distance between, but the connection is, the more that you can be a son first and get your questions answered by God as he fathers you, the more you will have to offer your sons and daughters in their questions.
No doubt. No doubt.
And that's why how you answer those questions matters. Father matters. Right?
It's
Father
good.
matters. So it's
That's
going to be
good.
good. I'm really looking forward to exploring this more and more.
Yeah,
So,
me too, buddy. Me too.
Hopefully you have heard about the April Heart of a Warrior Encounter. We go into this for 3.5 days.
Yeah, April 16th through the 19th.
How to make your comeback so you can enter into this role as a dad. So April 16th through
The 19th.
19th, Thursday to Sunday, near Goshen, Virginia, at the Young Life camp that we call home. So hopefully that you'll join us there. And I think it's one of the last times we can say Happy New Year. And we'll see you next time on the Exploring More podcast.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Exploring More. The landing page for this podcast is zoe.org/podcast. That's ZOWEH.org/podcast, where you can find the show notes and various platforms to which we broadcast. You can also find us and the life of more by visiting Zoe on YouVersion Bible app, Right Now Media, our Facebook page, and Zoe on Instagram and Twitter. Remember, with God there is always more, and you were made for more.